Hi, my name is Barry Sterling Mitchell. I produce the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings and the Bias Plus reports. Today is January 24th, 2024. Hmm. And this is Ben and Barry on football.
You had to double check, make sure we're still 2024.
24, 24. Yeah. I'm like, okay, symmetry going or something.
Yes, indeed. My name is Ben Dickerson. Hello out there, everybody. I am your co-host. Oh man, nice football this past weekend. Divisional round was very exciting, extremely competitive. I went 2-2, but I'm gonna tell you the truth, man. I felt good about all my picks. I really did. I know I was kind of chasing one upset, but I felt good about it. And turns out that besides the Ravens blowout of the Texans, the other three games all went down pretty much to the wire. Two of them got decided by interceptions late, and one got decided by a missed field goal. So they were all very good, competitive, close games.
Well, we both went 50-50. Okay. The Bias Plus had the Buccaneers favored, and that was a real close call. I mean, in terms of the Bias Plus numbers, like less than a point or something ridiculous like that. Um, yeah, it was a half a point, so that could have went in either way. And then uh, the Bills were favored,
Right.
so and it's funny. We're not used to seeing the Chiefs as underdogs, but it's how they played all year.
Been that kind of season.
Been that kind of season. So we'll go through the schedule, upcoming schedule for the conference championships, and then we'll have an opportunity to talk a little bit more about what happened in the divisional round. And since we now know who the two teams were that beat the bias, one of those two teams is going to be the Bias Plus Buster of the week. So we'll see who that happens to be. All right, Benny, ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, Benny, we're going to start with the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings. You see the website address up there because in green, I wanted to show where our playoff teams, our conference participant uh, teams fell in the different rankings. ANP stands for average net points. That's our primary ranking statistic. APF, average points for, that's the scoring statistic. APA, average points against, that's defense. And ATOD, average turnover differential. So again, we see a little bit about why Kansas City, for example, at fifth was not favorite. Buffalo's, even after that game, still had a higher average net points. Dallas is out of it. They had a very high average net points. Baltimore is in first place, averaging 12.6 plus. That's plus 12.6 because the average net points can go positive or negative, which means they're beating teams by an average of 12 and a half points. That's a nice win. I don't care how you look at it. San Fran is right behind them at 10.9. You'll see Detroit down there in eighth place at plus 3.9. Now, that's going to bring up a couple of different things. Let's go over to the next column where you have your scoring. And Baltimore's coming in second place. Dallas still holding the first place, 30.1 points per game, but they're out of it. So it's Baltimore at 28.7 and San Fran at 28.6, occupying second and third place. Detroit's coming in fifth in scoring at 27.2. So notice they're eighth on the average net points, fifth on the scoring. And then Kansas City drops all the way down to 14. They're averaging 22.3 points per game. Now, Baltimore in second place in scoring is in first place in average points against. Then you have Kansas City in second place at average points against. So that's Baltimore at 16.1 and 17.1 for Kansas City. That's all they're allowing on average. Niners coming in third at 17.7. Hey, but if you're Kansas City and you're scoring 22 and you're only giving up 17, that's called a win. That's called a win for the most part.
Most of the time.
Most of the time. And if you're Baltimore and you're scoring 28, you're giving up 16. Woo!
A lot of the time.
A lot of the time. And my Niners averaging 28.6, only giving up 17.7. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, that's winning numbers.
Those are winning numbers. Now, over in the average turnover differential, congrats again. Your Giants are tied for first with my Niners and Baltimore, my beloved Niners, just so everybody knows. But again, I have nothing to do with these numbers. These are the numbers that came out of the averages from the score. So I had nothing to do with that. You see, when you drop down to 16th place, you see Detroit coming in at plus 0.1. And again, these averages for turnover differential can go plus or minus. Let's go down to the 17th to the 32nd. And this is where you see something a little disturbing for Detroit. Their defense coming in 23rd, giving up 23.2 points per game. The only other team down in this section is Kansas City at minus 0.6, average turnover differential. So those are the only two teams that are down in the lower tier, and that's why Detroit, although they are ranked fifth in scoring, is eighth in average net points. That defense is really pulling them down. And it's one of the things I'm looking forward to about them as a Niner. God. So anything on this before we move on?
Nah, I think that pretty much tells the story. Answers any questions I might have as far as who's doing what and what position everybody's in. Detroit looks like their defense is severely challenged when you look at them in the average points against, being in 23rd place overall. So there's a whole ton of teams who were first round disasters in the playoffs or didn't make the playoffs at all that allowed fewer, sometimes far fewer points than Detroit did. But they're in the playoffs. They got to go on the road, but they had a home game last week. They did what they had to do. They pulled off the win. I cannot remember the last time that they were in the playoffs, nor can I remember, I'm sure it's been reported a million times over the week, when they had a home playoff game, but it's been a while. So
I think I heard it was Barry Sanders' era.
they were in the playoffs during the Barry Sanders era. I think they did win a playoff game in the Barry Sanders era. I only know that because I watched his documentary, but that was some years ago. So people in Detroit are head over heels in love with this team. I do not blame them. It's been a really long time. It's funny. I was talking to my daughter. She's a Bucks fan, Desiree, and she and I was telling her, I was like, it's funny how people are real quick to tell you that your team stinks when you only got 4 or 5 wins, or you have a couple bad seasons in a row and maybe make the playoffs and get beat in the first round, or you don't make the playoffs. Everybody gets a turn. It takes a little longer for some than others, but everybody gets a turn. And this is Detroit's turn to make some noise. They've made a bunch of noise. Whether or not it continues this week remains to be seen, but this is their time. And the city of Detroit is loving it. So, I'm enjoying it too.
All right, good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, let's move on to the Bias Plus reports. Now, again, the Bias Plus reports is where we take these rankings, net point rankings and turnover differential rankings, and we do some mathematics, and we come out with what we call the Bias Plus. And it will favor one team or the other, generally based on where their net points come in relationship to the other and where their turnover differential comes in relation to the others. So let's move on to the first of the two conference championship games. That would be your Kansas City Chiefs at your Baltimore Ravens. The bias plus score of 12.6 favors the Ravens. But we just saw the rankings, and though that makes sense, doesn't it? That's a pretty good
Yeah,
bias there. And that's about that. As a matter of fact, Ben, that's what the Ravens average.
that's exactly. Wow, how about that? 12.6 is exactly the number that they average wins by.
Yep, the net point margin. Yeah.
12.6, can I round it off to a nice healthy 13?
If you want to, you know.
Okay. Well, the defending champion Kansas City Chiefs will be on their way to Baltimore later on this week. And boy, I'll tell you. Well, let's talk about their game last week. They played Buffalo. We had some great games last week. This was one of them. We've seen some really great regular season games and postseason games over the last few years, maybe over the last 3, almost 4 years between the Chiefs and the Bills. But this one was Patrick Mahomes' first postseason game on the road. People were a little leery about that because they're like, oh, he's been living large. They've been having great seasons, number one seeds, home field advantage throughout, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Not this year. This year, they were a little offensively challenged, especially through the air, and he ended up having to go on the road. So they go to Buffalo, and this is what happened. The teams traded leads 5 times, and throughout the game, neither team led by more than 7 points. That's how close this game was. The Chiefs, however, did score on 5 of their first 6 possessions, and they punted for the first time up 27-24 with 8:31 left in the game. The Bills' ensuing drive stalled at the Chiefs' 26-yard line, and their kicker, Tyler Bass, missed a 44-yard field goal wide right. Wide right, the same way they missed when they lost in the Super Bowl to my New York Giants. Wide right. The Chiefs took over after that, 2 Pacheco runs, and then they went to victory formation, ran out the clock. Now, Mahomes threw 23 times. He completed 17, 215 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Both of them went to Jason Kelce. They ran the ball a total of 24 times for 146 total yards. 97 of those yards came by Isaiah Pacheco. He also scored a touchdown on the ground. So the Chiefs did what they had to do when they had to do it to come away with the victory. As far as the Ravens are concerned, they handled their business. But first, let me just say kudos to CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans, who had a surprisingly good season. I only say surprisingly because at the beginning of the season, nobody saw this coming. I don't care what anybody says. Nobody saw this Houston Texans season coming. After it got going, people started weighing in, but nobody saw this coming from the beginning, not at all. They had a surprisingly good season, and they battled the Ravens in this game. Really, really tough, especially in the first half. And actually, it was tied up 10-10 at halftime. But then the second half started, and the Ravens, on their opening drive, led by MVP front runner Lamar Jackson, went 55 yards on 6 plays, scored on a 15-yard run up the middle by Lamar, and then they went on to dominate the entire second half, scoring 24 unanswered points. They won the game 34-10. Jackson totaled 152 yards, 2 touchdowns through the air, and 100 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. That's 252 yards and 4 touchdowns by one dude. Woo. The defense didn't make a lot of splash plays, but they did force 5 punts, 1 turnover on downs, and that got the ball out of the other team's hands very quickly. and back into Lamar's. So obviously and completely, they dominated the time of possession, controlled the ball like crazy. So Baltimore is the home team. Chiefs got to go there. Man, I tell you what, I'm not even going to hesitate on this. I'm taking the Ravens on this game because I picked them to go to Super Bowl. I have to stick with it. At this point, there's no more drama in my picks. Okay, I'm going with the Ravens, but I expect this to be a great game.
Very interesting. Going with the bias, going with the Ravens. Ben, watching that game with the Bills and the Chiefs. First of all, I think you and I have talked about when Patrick Mahomes throws the ball, the movement of the ball when he throws it, to me, is just different. It just moves in such a smooth velocity from his hand to the receiver. And, it just doesn't look like it's a hard ball to catch, even though it's getting there very quickly and very efficiently. You know, I've just always been amazed at that. And I did a little bit of research on the physics of throwing a football, but I'm not prepared to present my dissertation on that. But Mahomes,
Still working on your thesis.
you know what I'm saying? Mahomes has a real smooth trajectory to his passing.
Yes.
That's one. Two, I want to restate my premise that the team that can make the other team play 11 on 11 football has a decided advantage. And that looked like what happened in that opening drive for the Ravens the second half when Lamar said, okay, let me change the game a little bit on you. But he is just so good now at throwing, at passing and using the pocket, moving around and getting space, but not running, you know?
Yeah. You
And,
can't settle in on their running game anymore like you used to be able to. If you had a really good run defense, you used to be able to give the Ravens a lot of trouble, regardless of how good he was. And he was going to get his. But maybe you could really slow down the running backs and eventually you throw a spy up or whatever, and you could kind of control the Ravens. But now at this point, he's throwing the ball so well from the pocket and rolling out that there's no answer for him.
and I mean, some of his design runs is like right up the middle. He's got a back leading the charge and everything. I mean, they're really doing a great job with him there, and that's that the Todd Monken offense that he settled in so nicely. As far as the Bills was concerned, I was like, we've talked about this a number of times where I say these quarterbacks overlook the short pass that would give them ball control, and allow them to continue their drives and things of that nature for that shot deep down the field that goes from a 87% completion uh, um, probability to about
Mm-hmm.
17% completion probability.
Mm-hmm.
And it happened with Josh Allen. And that last pass in the end zone, the guy hit his arm, the pass was a little off, wasn't completed. He had Diggs coming smoothly across the middle and nobody near him, nobody near him. And it's like he never even looked. And that was a situation where ball control, clock control, and all of that really came into, play. One thing you don't want to do is give the ball back to Mahomes. You want to go down and you want to score.
Right.
I'm just, man, he didn't even look. And this was Diggs. This wasn't like some third string guy that they're running across. This was Diggs. Never even looked at him. So I was just really surprised and a bit disappointed. That's almost a mind fart in my estimation. But there's something else, that again, you got to understand, time of possession, clock control, you know what I mean, field position, all of that stuff has to come into account. And if all you need is a first down, and then you got to drive, you can continue to drive, you got clock time, you got timeouts and all of that. You don't need to throw that ball. You didn't need to be looking deep like
Right.
that. That's the thing. What are you looking down there for? You know? So it's those types of things that make the difference and made the difference in this. But they played basically tied up through most of the game, and then you make one or two bad, decisions, and that throws the whole thing off. And next thing you know, you're watching on conference championship Sunday instead of being a part of it. So and then they start talking about what needs to be done with your team. Like you didn't just go toe to toe with the Chiefs. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's really crazy. All right. Chiefs at Ravens. Ben's going with the bias, going with the Ravens. And Benny, I already picked my Super Bowl participants. So I can't argue with you on this at all. Next up, my beloved San Francisco 49ers. The Lions are coming to visit us. The bias plus score of 9.4 favors the Niners in this case.
9.4.
9.4.
Okay. That's interesting. So the Lions, we talked about them having a home playoff game that they definitely earned by having a really nice season, finishing where they finished at the number 3 seed. They hosted Tampa Bay in the divisional round of the playoffs last week, and the Buccaneers came to fight. They battled with these boys to the end. The teams traded field goals in the first quarter, and they traded one TD each in the second and the third quarters. So field goal, touchdown, 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 touchdown. Then in the fourth, Detroit scored on a 31-yard run by Jahmyr Gibbs and a 9-yard pass from Goff to Amon-Ra St. Brown, one of my favorite fantasy receivers. And they went up 31-17. Tampa then drove 75 yards and finished the drive with a 16-yard pass from Baker Mayfield to Mike Evans. Bro, how great is Mike Evans?
Oh, my goodness.
See the catches this guy's still making? Get his Hall of Fame bust ready now. I'm telling you. But anyway, the TD to Mike Evans made the score 31-23. After a Lions punt, defense did their job, forced the Lions to punt. The Buccaneers then went on their final drive with 1:59 left and a chance to either tie it and go to overtime. No, that was their only chance. It was 31-23. So they had an opportunity to score, get the extra point, tie it up, and take it to overtime. But Baker threw an interception to linebacker Derek Barnes, and then Goff took 3 knees and closed out the victory formation. Now, Goff was solid throughout the game, 30 of 43 for 287. Did a nice job with the Tampa Bay secondary that ain't bad. Scored 2 touchdowns on them, had no turnovers. They ran the ball for 114 total yards on 26 total carries and a touchdown by Jahmyr Gibbs. The defense, however, was severely challenged through the air. Let's not forget, Barry just showed you the average points against for Detroit puts them down at, what was it, 23rd?
Yeah.
Yeah. Baker went to work on them boys. 349 yards and 3 touchdowns through the air on that defense. But they did pick him off twice, and they did sack him 4 times. And one of those picks ended up being the game winner. So kudos to Detroit for winning that game and advancing. Now, I gave kudos to the Texans and their rookie quarterback, C.J. Stroud, a little earlier. So I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to the Packers and their young quarterback, Jordan Love, for his first year as the full-time starter. Honestly speaking, for most of the game, the Niners did not play well on offense, defense, or special teams. In fact, the Packers kept it close in the first half kicking 2 field goals as the Niners were only able to score 1 touchdown on a pass from Brock Purdy to George Kittle right before halftime. So it was 7-6. Niners were up 1 at half. Purdy was off target with quite a few of his passes. I do not understand what the heck was going on. I don't know. Maybe you can answer that for me when I get done here. But he did not look good, man. He was off target very badly sometimes. In the second half, the Packers were able to hold on to the lead until the Niners went up 24-21 on a 6-yard touchdown run by Christian McCaffrey. With 1:47 left in regulation, the Pack started on a drive to either tie or win the game. But Jordan Love rolling right to, bro, we tell little league quarterbacks not to do this. High school quarterbacks don't ever do this. College quarterbacks never ever do this. Professional quarterbacks, you know better than to do this. He rolled right, threw back across his body to the middle of the field. No, 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 no. Drew Greenlaw jumped it for the game-winning interception. Besides intercepting Love twice, the Niners defense gave up 330 total yards and didn't record a sack. Not good. Not good. The kickoff team gave up a 73-yard kick return. And Purdy was an ugly 23 of 39 for 252 and only 1 touchdown, the one that went to Kittle. Thank goodness for Christian McCaffrey, who caught 7 passes for 30 yards and ran 17 times for 98 yards and scored 2 touchdowns on the ground. That being said, as poorly as they played, I still have to pick the Niners to beat the Lions. They'll be at home. They've proven over the course of the season that they are the better team, and I don't expect them to come out slow like they did. But actually, it was beyond coming out slow because they didn't really get it together till the fourth quarter. But I was very surprised to see it. I don't expect to see it again either this week or next week in the Super Bowl because I'm picking them to win this game.
Yeah, Purdy did not look good. One, he was really trying to stand in the pocket, and the pocket was collapsing on him. And I posted, I said, Purdy's trying to stand tall in the pocket, but he's not tall. You know, he's like in there like, I'm like, dude, the pocket's, you got to move. When you're small like that, when you're his height, he's 6'2", and not like he's small, he ain't 5'8" or whatever. But, you got to move, I mean, if Lamar Jackson has to move, you got to move. You can't just stand there. And then it's raining. He doesn't do well. And,
I forgot. The weather was very bad.
Yeah, it was raining like a champ. And he doesn't do real well with a wet ball. Now, upcoming, I hear the weather's supposed to be clear this coming Sunday. He doesn't do well at all with that.
That was an issue. I remember them saying he tried the glove, then he took the glove off, he put it back on, took it off. So he definitely was having problems.
He was having some problems there. And my message to Kyle Shanahan is this. Dude, is Deebo Samuels your number 1 receiver? Yes or no? What would you say, Benny? Is Deebo Samuels? Excuse me.
I would say yes.
He's our number 1 receiver. Okay.
Right.
So before I even talk about using him as let me just say it. Please stop using him as a running back. Dude, I
don't want to get into this with you. They don't run him enough
to
make that an issue.
He's injured now. Every time
he's a football player.
No, he's not built to be a running back, okay? He's built to be a wide receiver, and if you play him like a wide receiver, I do believe you would be really happily surprised because he can do all the things a wide receiver does, and when he catches the ball, he will run the heck out.
No surprise. It wouldn't be a surprise.
Well, I don't know. They seem to want to run him like a running back instead of letting him be a wide receiver. This is my take, okay? You might not agree, but I'm going to give you my take. And then secondly, why the hell do you have him returning kicks? You ain't got nobody on your 53 plus man roster to return kicks but Deebo Samuels, your number one receiver. This make no sense at all. I don't know what the heck he's doing personnel wise. So,
Maybe he doesn't.
and we're deep at running back. You can run all of the backs and forth back and stuff you want with our running backs. You don't need to put Deebo there. Deebo, last year he was hurt. This year he's hurt. He don't last long in that role. Every
Did he get
once in
hurt
a
on a running
while,
play?
you can catch people off guard with that, but I don't think that should be a staple, not with Deebo anyway.
Did he get hurt on a running play?
Yeah, I believe it was.
You sure?
I believe it was. Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna have to check that
Figure it out.
because actually, I believe my memory, which is not great at all, I believe that last year they ran him a hell of a lot more than they did this year. I think there's a
Maybe they
big
did.
difference. Now
Maybe
I
they
know
did.
you don't want to run him at all, okay? And I get it. I get it. I do. But if they only play him at receiver and don't give him any fly sweeps or any of that handoffs or pitch outs or whatever, there won't be any surprise about what they'll get. I mean, obviously, football coach knows if I have a receiver that runs the ball well and I use him enough, there's a good chance he's going to get dinged up. They know that. But I believe that what he's doing as a coach, Shanahan, is trying to maximize the offense. And using him back there in run plays maximizes the offense because he can do it and he can do it well.
You can do it also. He's not your number one receiver. You know, Debo. I heard a stat today. They were saying I think they're 3 points average less when Debo is not in the game. They average 3 points less. So there is a
Scoring.
go. Hmm?
3 point scoring?
Yeah, 3 points. Yeah, in scoring, they're less 3 points when Debo's not in the game. Hey, that's a field goal. Ask the Bills. Ask the Bills about what a field goal feels like if you don't get it. So, you know. But long story short, that's my feeling of it. And the kick return thing was just ridiculous. I mean, come on now, really. Your number one receiver, and you're putting them back and returning kicks. What are you doing? So long story short, that's my only issue. I do want to share something with you, Benny, that I found
Right.
really interesting here. As I'm looking at the last 3 weeks, average net points, average scoring margin, uh, San Francisco is plus 6.3.
Okay.
Detroit is plus 6.3 over the last 3 weeks. So we definitely our defense is going to be under pressure because the Detroit Lions can score. They've got a pretty good offense. However, apparently Goff is subject to a few mind farts of his own here. That double-handed chest push ball that he threw out there that could have been a turnover easily, and when it wound up, they lucked up when they got the ball. Was something that happens apparently all too frequently when he gets enough pressure. So
You want to talk about brain fart?
go ahead.
That's a brain diarrhea right there. I know you may find yourself in a panic situation in professional football, especially if you're a quarterback with guys that are 3 times your size coming at you. Okay. But if you just randomly that's bad.
You saw the
That's
play.
real bad.
You saw the play, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And you're right. That's not the first time he did something like that.
No. So so that's where we stand with the two games. The Bias Plus report, Ben's going with the bias in both games. Bias Plus favoring the Ravens, favoring the Niners. And when we complete the Bias Plus report, Benny, we move on to celebrate the Bias Plus Buster of the Week. Oh yeah, man. The Bias Plus Buster of the Week. And Benny, we already know who it was, right? It's the Kansas City Chefs with a Bias Plus Buster score of 9.5. I believe the Lions was 8.5, so it was pretty close. And remember what I said to you, my challenge with Baker Mayfield is when I see I've been watching them, their average scoring over the season is about 20 points per game. And
Right.
we scored like 23 in this. That's my challenge with him. I mean, you don't see a whole bunch of you might see one or two because if you're averaging 20, you had to score over 20 at some point. But he's not one of those 28 points a game quarterbacks. At least I haven't seen it from him. And this is a pretty good team, like you said, offensively, man. They've got some weapons, so it's going to be interesting to see. But long story short, congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs. The big question that was on TV was, did the Chiefs win the game, Benny, or did the Buffalo lose the game? What do you think?
I, I'm going to tell you this. I hate to say it, but if I have to make a determination on the two questions that you asked, I would have to say that Buffalo lost the game. They had more than a couple of opportunities to actually put this thing away, and they didn't get it done. And Stefon Diggs' drop hurt them quite a bit. And the pass that Josh underthrew to Shakir, no excuse for that. No excuse for that. This guy's streaking across the end zone. The DBs don't even know where he is. And the ball's coming there like, who's he throwing that to? And it falls to the ground, and the guy's just, he's still running. The one that Diggs was in his hands. He dropped that. So,
I, you know, it hit his hands, but he was spinning around in the air when the
you
ball
got to be kidding
came.
me.
And
You got to be kidding me.
I'm
You got to be kidding me.
all I'm
You
saying,
have given me trouble. You have told me, oh, he should have had that.
dude,
About
I believe that there
this
was
is Stephon
a
Diggs, man.
level of
He got to make that catch.
difficulty on that catch
He
that
got to
I have to
make
at
that
least
catch. No,
recognize. That was
no,
not no easy Pam in
no,
the hands catch.
no,
I'm so
no,
sorry. I'm so sorry.
no.
We will
I've
simply
seen I've seen guys miss passes that were far more difficult than that, and you didn't give them no break. My memory's not good, and I
I,
can't
I,
pinpoint and give you
I don't.
names,
I have
but
no
that
idea
I
what you're talking
remember.
about. But let
I
me
know
just
you
say,
don't.
if he had caught that ball, okay,
Yeah.
we would be saying, "Wow, what a catch!" We would have
No.
been saying, "Oh, yes, we would." Yeah, it would have been like,
No,
"Oh
we
my
would
goodness,
not.
did you see him? What he just caught? He had a spin."
Stephon Diggs, man. This is Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, I know. And everybody drops a ball here or there. And I just think
What they do?
I'm not saying that he, we would have loved for him to catch it. I just believe it was a high degree of difficulty. That's
I'm
all.
not giving him no slack on that.
Okay. Well,
I ain't giving him no slack
I'm
on
giving
that.
him
He
that.
got to
I'm
make
giving
that.
him that.
This is a guy that's bitching and screaming and stomping his feet like a 5-year-old on the sidelines. Get me the ball. I don't want to hear it.
Well, it didn't work when he was coming across the middle wide open.
I don't want to
He
hear it.
might have a
That's why I
reason why
don't want to
he's
hear it.
screaming. Why he's like,
That's why I
dude,
don't want.
I'm
That's why I
wide
don't want to
open.
hear
Why are you throwing the ball way down there? I'm right here. Sheesh.
it. You remember the situation? What down was it? What was the distance? Did he have the first down?
I believe that Diggs would have gotten the first down because
He would have gotten the first
defense
down.
had dropped back. So they had given him all the cushion in the world. He might have had to get 2 yards after the catch. About that. Great chance that he would have got that first down. And a first down is what you want. Keep Patrick Mahomes over there and your job. Because at any moment, Josh Allen just take off and run the ball in and score, you know? But you got to have the ball. So, anywho, I agree with you. I believe that Buffalo lost this game. as much or more so than the Chiefs won the game. But the Chiefs played well. The Chiefs played well. They got it done. And they didn't have a lot of drops. Their people caught the ball.
Yeah, including MVS, and
MVS
who's famous for dropping balls,
caught two nice.
And Chris Connolly caught a pass. This guy might have 5 catches the whole season. So I'll give him credit for that. 2 touchdowns by Kelce, and Rashee Rice played well, proving that he's ready to be the #1 receiver on that team. So that's a good job by them.
Yeah.
This is the perfect time for that offense to start to gel. So I get that gives Andy a lot of confidence in making his calls, and gives Mahomes a lot of confidence in how he spreads the ball around. So yeah, that makes them extremely dangerous at this point. By the way, Debo got hurt on a pass play. It was a slant. Linebacker went at him and missed. The safety, looks like the safety got him and was fighting, trying to strip the ball, and Jair Alexander came in and popped him.
Okay. All right. Um, as far as the Chiefs are concerned, it's that defense that the Ravens have. It's just so, you know, it's just so overwhelming, man. I mean, it's bad enough with Lamar doing the stuff that he does, but when you got the Ravens defense, like the #1 defense in the league, you know, and Kansas City's #2, so it's 1 and 2 going at each other.
Well, it's 1 and 2 as far as points against, but that doesn't always tell the whole story. Where you got your turnover numbers up there?
Turnover differential.
Yeah. How these two teams stack up? Just curious.
The Ravens are plus 0.7. The Chiefs are minus 0.6.
Okay. So I'm going to look at that on the takeaway side and say that the Ravens are more dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, like I told people, I how long ago was it that I said Ravens Niners in the Super Bowl, right? So
Right.
numbers just happen to work out that way. I can't control that. Um, but just looking at the numbers that we showed tonight, a bias plus is going to favor the Ravens in the Ravens
Yep.
Niners game.
Yeah.
It is
Not
what
by much, though.
not by much, not by much, you know.
It's not by much, but not super close either. Right? Ah,
Hey, look, let's face it. I mean, we look at the rankings as they stand. Baltimore coming in with net point 12.6, and the Niners coming in with 10.9. So unless somebody does something big in the game, like the Niners win by 30 and Baltimore only wins by 10, and that thing flips, then because one cutoff for the Sterling net point power ranking is at the end of the regular season. But I do continue to track these numbers through the playoffs.
right.
So the playoff teams, their numbers are changing. Everybody else's numbers are stagnant because they're no longer playing in the games. But we will see at the end of everything, after the Super Bowl, how the net points, finished out, for the full season, including all the playoffs. So that's going to be how that goes. Ben, let's take a quick look at our social media and have a conversation. All right, Benny. So we're at Ben and Barry on football on Facebook. We have a list here of all the Super Bowl winners year by year since 1968, where Green Bay was kicking it off. I was in 8th grade, Benny. You were a year ahead of me, right? So you were in 9th grade. You were a freshman?
68. I was in 9th grade.
Ninth
No,
grade.
I was in 10th grade at Germantown High School.
10th grade?
Yes, sir.
I graduated 8th grade 68. You're 1 year ahead of me, right?
I was in 10th grade at Germantown High School in 68.
All right. Okay. 68. And you see everybody, the Jets, Kansas City, Colts, Cowboys, the Finns twice. Look at them Finns, 73 and 74. That's that undefeated season, right? Was it 73?
I believe it was 73. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And you see the Steelers dominating. Raiders, little Cowboys, Steelers come back, win two more. Raiders come back, win. Niners start to kick
Woo,
in gear.
woo. Some of those Raider teams were woo.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? You look at that, you see Steelers, Raiders, then Cowboys, then Steelers, then Raiders again. The only thing that kept the Raiders out of there was the Steelers.
Was the
Those were
Steelers?
epic, epic battles.
Oh, yeah.
Epic battles.
Immaculate reception,
Oh, so much history, man.
all of that stuff. 74, I was 2 years out of high school. I graduated in 72. So then you had Washington, you had the Raiders again, then the Niners, 77, the Bears. That is the Bears, right? Chicago.
Yes.
Giants in 79. Washington again. My Niners 2 years straight. The Giants again. Yeah, we had epic battles with you guys back then.
Yeah. That was the year. Let me see. That's 91.
91 when you won it in 91.
Yeah. I think that was Hostetler. I
Okay.
think I think Phil Simms got hurt that year.
Okay.
I might be ahead of myself, but go ahead.
Well, we kick off 92 with Washington, and we get 2 straight years of the Cowboys before my Niners interrupt things, and then get the Cowboys again.
That's the Jimmy Johnson Cowboys.
Is that Deion Sanders when he defected to the Cowboys?
Yes.
We won 95. He goes to the Cowboys. They win 96.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. Green Bay comes in, and then we have 2 years of the Broncos.
Peyton.
Peyton.
No, that's Elway. That's Elway. I'm sorry.
Elway years. Okay. Elway years. Right? Then you get your
Yep.
Rams, you get your Ravens. Uh-oh. The Patriots start to step up. You get the Patriots, the Bucks, the Patriots twice, the Steelers, and the Colts. Now, I believe this is about the time when the Colts were having the infinite battles with the Patriots. Man,
Yeah, that was Manning versus Brady.
right? Yeah, Manning, Brady. Exactly, exactly. Um, 2008, your Giants come in, then the Steelers, then the Saints, then the Packers. Then your Giants come back. A little bit more Ravens, Seahawks, 2014, and then the Patriots. Man, look at that. 26.
So the Giants won in was that 2008? They won again in 2012,
Yeah.
and then they won again in 2013 and lost to the Ravens. So
Okay.
we were in those three. We won two, lost one.
So your third win, because you have three, right?
No, we got four.
You got four. Okay.
Yeah. 87, 91,
Oh,
08.
okay. 87, 91, 2008, 2012.
Right.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. Then you got the Ravens again, the Seahawks and the Patriots, Broncos, Patriots, the Eagles,
That
Patriots.
could have been Seahawks back to back
Yes, it could have. If
if
they
he
had
if he
stayed
just
there.
runs Marshawn
Oh,
instead
man.
of throwing a pass.
The ultimate option quarterback with the ultimate power running back, and you throw a pass.
Crazy.
And he didn't get fired then. The coach didn't get fired.
No,
Coach
they
didn't.
just fired him a couple days ago.
And they didn't really
Well,
fire him. They
they
kicked him
kicked him
upstairs.
upstairs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So apparently he's ready to continue coaching. He's looking
he
at.
wants to coach. If somebody offers him a job, I think he'll go if the situation is right.
Well, he looks like he's running around, feeling a lot better than what I'm running around.
Oh, bro. I wish I was in good as shape as that guy.
And you work out all the time.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, he looks
but
very
you know what? He never played ball, I don't think.
well. That helps. I found out that you find like excuse me, women and they're jogging well into their 40s and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
Like you never played a contact sport, so
Yeah, you have no injuries like to nag you. But finishing up, Patriots, Kansas City, Tampa Bay, the Rams, and Kansas City again. So Super Bowl winners. This is a great place to go just to kind of get your reference points together. Aren't you so happy to hear Marvin Lewis is back in coaching? I thought about you as soon as I saw his name.
oh my God.
But apparently
Yeah.
he's been advising Pierce AP, your new coach for the Raiders, all along. So he's already been a part of this thing, and they just
And
decided.
he's not the only one. Coughlin, the Giants ex-Giants head coach, is also on their payroll.
Is this just like payola or something? It's just like just get all this.
No.
So do you think these guys are really going to add value?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. These old, first of all, in this particular situation, these are guys that Antonio Pierce respects. You know what I'm saying? They can give him some insight, possibly that he might overlook or not quite, have a grasp on. They're old heads, but everybody's getting old heads. Did you see the Eagles? They're interviewing Ron Rivera.
All I can do is shake my head.
Yeah, yeah. Well, now I'm gonna tell you this. Ron Rivera has had a lot of success as a defensive coordinator. He has not had a lot of success as a head coach, but that doesn't mean he can't run a defense. And after the debacle that the Eagles had with a really young guy and then bringing in the wrong old head who's never been good at any point in his career, Matt Patricia, they've decided that they're definitely going with an old head, somebody that's been around, somebody that knows the ropes, somebody that everybody should respect and the players should respect, and is a teacher. Like sometimes when you get a young coach, a young coordinator, or position coach, they have to learn how to teach. You know what I'm saying? These guys, they got all these young guys from Georgia. Those guys physically are awesome. But mentally, as far as the NFL game is concerned, they're not. And if you got a young coach or young coordinator who can't really teach them, that's how the Eagles jump out to a 10-1 record because they're just physically better than the other teams. Then the other teams look at a little bit of film and say, huh, this ain't really that hard. And they start running up on these cats, running all over. How do you go from stopping everybody's run game for 8, 9, 10 games, and then you can't stop nobody? They're
Uh,
not learning anything. They're not expanding their game. They're not getting better week by week. What every coach sits up there after the game and talks to the press about, we have to continue to get better. We have to clean this up. How many times have you heard coaches say that?
we say it all the time. Yeah.
Right, right. But if you don't have coaches who know how to clean it up, then the players ain't going to get better.
Now I'm hearing Vic Fangio's name associated with potentially coming to the Eagles.
Another old head. Guy's been around, well respected.
Vic Fangio's defense was ranked like 22nd
Okay.
out of Miami.
Okay.
He ain't lighting the defensive world on fire down there.
Well, sometimes it's personnel too.
I don't know. I don't know, but
What do you don't not know?
you know,
Sometimes it's personnel.
sometimes, yeah, I don't know what it is down there. I don't know if they got a
Yeah.
personnel issue down there or not. That's
Well,
when I say I don't know.
he's had a lot more success. I'm sorry. He's had a lot more success than failure over a long career.
All right, well, we'll see how that all works. But in any event, I thought of you when I saw Marvin Lewis. I just started laughing right off the bat there. Ben and Barry on Facebook, all the YouTube videos. We did the little poll there to see which one of the theme songs people like best. It's funny. I actually like the newest one with Carrie Underwood. No, with Snoop Dogg. That one.
That was not bad.
Yeah, I kind of like that one. And it's funny. I had forgotten Faith Hill. The same song
Oh,
Carrie Underwood sings, Faith Hill sang too back in the day.
yeah, yeah.
You know. So
That's a good one.
yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one. All right. Oh my God.
I'm gonna tell you all about this, okay?
Go ahead.
But no. Say what you was gonna say.
No, I was just gonna say, from what I understand, he climbed down and took a picture with a young lady who was a fan of his or something like that.
Two of them.
Okay, okay, okay. And
And when you say young
I think he
lady,
went against his wife's better advice in doing this also.
when you say young lady, we're not talking about a young 20, 21, 22 year. We're talking about little girls.
Little girl, yeah, yeah,
And he picked them up.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Some people were like, yo, this guy's a creep. Okay. I don't think he's a creep. I love Jason Kelsey. I think he's a great player. I think
Yeah,
he's
he
a,
was just being a celebrity. Yeah,
yeah.
come
He's a
on
first ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt about it.
no doubt
But
about it.
here's the bottom line. This guy, if he hasn't made it official yet, is probably going to retire. Okay. I
That's why
think
I think he didn't have a problem wearing that Chiefs hat.
exactly. I think he looked around that locker room week after week after week and started to assess that, you know what? I'm putting way more into this than some of these other guys. I don't think I can keep on pouring my heart into this and other people are not. I think it's time for me to get out of here. And once he felt free, he could throw a Chiefs hat on, take his shirt off, and go root for his brother. I have zero problems with what he did. He's having fun. He was in the parking lot with the Bills fans. I was hoping I saw him jumping through a table, but he didn't do that. Evidently, he didn't do that. I'm sure that would have made social media. But no doubt about it, he had a good number of beers in him. No doubt about it. This guy had a ball. His brother's team won. I'm sure they partied into the night. I
All right.
have no problem at all with this.
This is my question.
Yes.
Will we see Jason Kelsey in the Chiefs uniform?
No.
You don't think so?
No.
Man, look, they slip him in on the practice squad, boy.
I'm not going to say that some feelers might be thrown out by
Mm,
somebody,
mm.
okay? But I think he's done. I think he can ride into the sunset right now. He
Super
really can.
less. No Super Bowls.
He won a Super Bowl.
Oh, was he with the team that won the Super Bowl?
Yeah,
Okay, so he's got one.
yeah.
Okay, all right.
He's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Well, I'm not doubting that. I'm not doubting it. I just didn't remember whether or not he was on that Super Bowl team.
Yeah.
Okay. Because they only have a handful of people left from that team. Not that many people were left. So all right. Jason had a great time. We talked about the game as it's coming up here. Ben, this is my question. You heard about Ohio State spent $13 million in counting in NIL money in an attempt to field an elite roster?
Okay.
Well, first of all, the NIL, the whole thing about, name, your name and being worth money like that is somewhat new. And actually, it seemed as if the NCAA was not real happy about it at the very least. Now, okay, the college itself is collecting money to pay out for NILs. Have you looked at this? I mean, what are they
Well,
giving these kids advertising and just pay, sticking money, giving them paychecks and you
pretty
know.
much, pretty much what that is. So it's name, image, and likeness. Okay. So likeness, an example of likeness would be like a video game. Uh, Name and image would be commercials, endorsements, things of that nature. So if an Ohio State coach goes to try to recruit a high school kid and says, hey, listen, there's a car dealer in Columbus who is willing to work with you. You do some commercials, they'll pay you. And that guy happens to be a booster too. Or maybe not, he doesn't even have to be a booster. There's
Now,
money out there for you.
now you said they'll pay you,
Yes, not the school. The
but the
school is
school's
kind of
collecting
broke.
the money. The
The
school's got
school
the
is
money.
the school is making money off of ticket sales on the games and stuff like that.
No, they got NIL money going to the school. As a matter of fact, CJ Stroud gave them a bunch of money. And I'm like, okay, how is the school spending the money? It's one thing to
Well,
hook up the kid to get paid by the car dealership, but how is the school spending the money?
well, if somebody is giving the school money, that's like boosters. They're allowed to do that. You can
So,
make
so what I'm
donations.
saying, what are they telling the kids that are in the transfer portal?
NIL goes to the kid.
Right, I know, but I'm saying why? What are the kid goes in the transfer portal. He's a quarterback. He's really good. Ohio State
Right.
picks up the phone and say, "What are they going to say to him? Come to Ohio State. We got $5 million in NIL money for you."
No. This company has $5,000, $5 million worth of NIL money for
All right,
you.
we'll talk about this further because
Dion's son has a watch endorsement and a car endorsement. He just bought everybody on their offense all these great gifts for Christmas off that money that those companies pay him. The school don't pay him. The
but the
companies pay
school
him.
got the money. That's my point. The school got the money. What are they doing with NIL money then? And
How do you know the school has the money?
the article says it right here.
Where? What does it say?
Report: Ohio State Buckeyes spent 13 million and counting in NIL money in an attempt to field elite roster.
Okay. I think that sounds like not like what it actually is. The school can't pay the kid, but the kid is allowed to farm himself out to outside companies to get money. You're allowed to sell your name, your image, and your likeness. The school can't pay you. That's the whole idea. That's why NIL became what it is, because they don't want the schools to pay the kids. Because if the school pays the kids, the big schools will get all the best kids.
Yeah, that's right.
Right,
And that's
right.
what's happening.
Yeah, but it's not the school that's paying them. The school also has the bigger schools have the best boosters, they have the richest boosters, they have companies, car dealers, watches, this, that, and the other. If they have connections with these people, they can get these people to pay the kids. The
No,
school cannot pay a player. You can't do
something,
that.
something,
That's against the rules.
something happened there, and
They can't word it that way. They
that's how they
should. I'm sorry.
that's how they worded it.
I'm sorry. They should not word it that way. Schools cannot pay scholar athletes. That's still against the rules.
Okay, we'll follow this up. Long story short, last up here, Benny. Um, PFWA, Offensive and Defensive Rookies of the Year. Congratulations to CJ Stroud and Defensive end Will Anderson, the offensive and defensive rookies of the year. They repeated what happened with the Jets last year, right? Last year, didn't the Jets have the offensive and defensive player of the year?
Yes, they did.
Yeah,
Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner.
right,
This is the
right.
this is the Pro Football Writers Association.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and it's funny because I kept looking at the NFL page I kept hearing that these guys had won this. I was seeing people like talking about it and reporting it, but I'm like, the NFL, I didn't see anything particularly from the NFL. Apparently, this is not an NFL award.
It's not.
Yeah. So,
This comes from the writers.
right, right. So the NFL, and I saw a list of the awards. Their awards will come out on their award night. They have an award night,
Right.
you know, like
Right before the Super Bowl.
Oscars and all of that. Yeah, so that's when
Yeah.
all their, stuff. But the rookies are with the Writers Association. So congratulations to those guys. Fantastic. Uh, Breaking news, everybody's heard it. Apparently Jim Harbaugh, is going to leave Michigan and go to the Chargers.
Did this happen today?
This is happening as we speak still.
I was going to say because I had not heard this.
Yeah, he's probably still signing the papers, man. But apparently,
Makes sense. It makes sense.
yeah, everybody's just talking about it. It's just a matter of the details now, and then he'll be there. There's some people are a little surprised that he decided to go in an AFC conference with his brother being in the same conference. So they can't meet each other in the Super Bowl, but they can knock each other out of the Super Bowl. So
Could happen.
congratulations to the Chargers and Jim Harbaugh there. The Chargers already posted on their page who's got it better than us.
Nobody.
Nobody. And Ben, real quick, I don't want to go too deep into this, but this was an interesting story in praise of the NFL playoff format and size. This guy actually likes the current format. And
Okay.
I can't say I'm real familiar with the older formats, as they've changed over the years. You might have a little bit more to say about that. But I thought it was an interesting article as he talked about it. He thought it was very efficient, that it worked very well. Wasn't too many teams, wasn't too few teams. So he thought that it was a good format. And I kind of thought it was a good. I didn't have any problem with the format, and the way things was falling out. What about you?
No, I'm okay with it. Basically, what you have is 7 seeds in each conference as opposed to 6.
Okay.
I mean,
And
to
he gets to buy
keep
and
it
everybody
simple,
else.
that's the biggest difference, I would say.
Okay. As opposed to 6. All right, Benny. And then finally, as we wrap up, do you have any final words? Anything you want to say?
Yeah, I do have something to say. You have this thing that you like to say, and you say it every week, and you say it in reference to teams that have the ability to make you play 11 on 11 have a decided advantage. I believe that teams that have the ability to make you play 11 on 11 have a strongly probable advantage.
I'm not sure the difference between decided and strongly probable, but we seem like
Decided means unquestionable.
unquestionable. So you're taking what
Webster's,
I'm saying, you're taking it to another step.
Webster's dictionary says unquestionable. That's why I changed the probable. Because the Bills and the Bears and teams like that can definitely make you play 11 on 11, but they do not have a decided advantage. They have a strong advantage. They have a probable advantage. No doubt they have a possible advantage. I like probable better than possible. But decided advantage, no.
Well, right now you have two teams that can make you play 11 on 11 and two teams that don't basically make you play 11 on 11. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works. Last week, where we had two teams that we had the Chiefs and the Bills, both teams had the ability to make you play 11 on 11. Um, Mahomes runs so intelligently now when he does decide to take off and make you play that. And I was watching him in the one play where he was running down the sideline and he was like just tiptoeing on down the sideline. Oh, y'all not going to hit me? Well, I'm going to take 10 more. And then since they came over, he like went on out of bounds. They hit him. He rolled around a little bit. He was fine. But he just is very intelligent about it. Um, and again, there's a dynamic that's created when the defense has to play 11 on 11. They have to play the run by.
No doubt about it.
So that's why I say decided. You say, what's the word you're using? Probable?
Probable.
Okay, you say probable. But there is an advantage there as far as I'm concerned. And, if the team that's the pocket quarterback can overcome that, then A, the defense for that team is really good. And then B, he must have played a really good game. I think Purdy can do it. Purdy, he's efficient. If he's on the Purdy game, he ain't gonna be able to do it if he's playing around like he did last week. But I think that he can do it. Um, Again, you've got the Chiefs and you've got the Ravens. Whoever comes out of that is going to have a dual quarterback, an option. Quarterback who can run and can make you play 11 on 11. So we'll get to see whether it's my Niners or the Detroit Lions. We'll get to see that dynamic between that team and the other team. So we'll be able to kind of figure that out. All right. Well, Benny, I don't really have anything else to say. I think I pretty much said everything. We have one more game week that we'll have to cover when we hit the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and we got a week off before that too, right?
We got a week off, yeah. Well, we never have a week off, do we?
No, we'll have something.
We'll have something, yeah. I mean, all this is coach changing time. I have to keep up with the brain trust, so we do the brain trust show.
Right.
All the new brain trust. Now that we've started that, maybe we can even look back and see how the old brain trust worked out.
Some did well, some did not.
Yeah, I know. So, all right, that's it for me.
I'm good.
Peace out.